I'm Scott Williamson. We are Blackstone Minerals. We're listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. We have a very exciting nickel sulfide project in northern Vietnam, and we believe that we are well positioned to meet the growing demand from the lithium-ion battery industry. So the project in Vietnam is called the Khoa Nickel Project. It was operated between 2013 and 2016. It was operated by a TSX-listed company called Asian Mineral Resources. We have an option to own this project. The previous owners spent $130 million on the infrastructure and operated this mine very successfully between 2013 and 2016. The previous operators didn't do any exploration, and we're very excited to be exploring for magmatic nickel sulfide. We believe there's a district or a belt scale opportunity here, and we can leverage off that $130 million of infrastructure that's already in place. We also have the BC project just to the north of Braylon. So Braylon is the most prolific gold belt in British Columbia's history. There's been 4.4 million ounces mined at 17 grams per tonne gold. We have a very significant project there. We have 48 kilometres around the Braylon mining district, and we believe that there's significant base metals potential, particularly for the metals of copper, cobalt and gold. So we're also in British Columbia, and that is one of the main reasons we continue to come to this very exciting conference here in Vancouver. We also have some assets in Western Australia. The Silver Swan South Nickel Project is along strike of the Kanowna Belle gold mine, and we also have nickel sulfide potential there. So we're about 40 kilometres from Kalgoorlie, which is one of Australia's premier mining jurisdictions. We have a very technical board and management team. We have a history of creating shareholder wealth over 20 years of many different companies, taking $5 million companies and creating multiple $100 million companies. Hamish Halliday and Steve Parsons are the business partners that have worked together for those 20 years. My background is an underground mining engineer, and then I did some time as a mining analyst. So we have a very strong technical team. We have about a $30 million market cap, and we have cash in the bank. So we're here not to raise money, but just to raise awareness about Blackstone and what we're trying to achieve over in Vietnam. So this is what it's all about. So the battery industry is moving towards a high nickel cathode. So they're reducing cobalt and they're increasing nickel. It was actually our relationships with the battery end users, and we took these battery end users to the Canadian Cobalt project near Braylon, and they said to us, by the way, can you go and look for some nickel sulfide? And we found the Vietnam project on their doorstep. And the reason they need nickel sulfide is because that's the best type of nickel to go into the battery through a nickel sulfate. So as the industry moves, it's going to move away from cobalt and increase nickel to an 8:1:1 ratio. And we believe that that will lead to a supply-demand crunch over the next 3 to 5 years for the nickel. So we're aiming for a fully integrated mine here. So you can see the previous owners were operating the underground mine. We believe that we can move this to a nickel sulfate through a downstream processing facility. We have hydro grid power, some of the lowest labour costs in the world in Vietnam, but most importantly down the road in Hai Phong, the LG Chem have signed a joint venture with VinFast, which is a local conglomerate who are looking to build electric vehicles in country. So this nickel has potential to go all the way to electric vehicle in Vietnam. So this is our Ban Phuoc Nickel District. There's 25 massive sulfide vein targets, and we're focused around the central located concentrator. There's the 450,000 tonne per annum concentrator that's already in place. That's some of the $130 million that's already been spent on this project. So we're first looking at everything that's close to the concentrator, and then we'll move further away. you can see here that the previous mine has mined the massive sulfide vein. So there's an existing underground mine and existing concentrator, and we're now drilling out the very large disseminated ore body nearby. This is a cross-section view. So you can see we've just made what we're calling the King Cobra discovery, and the exciting part about that is that could lead us to the feeder zone, or the potential source of all this mineralisation. So we've got a 1 kilometre by 500 metre disseminated sulfide, nickel sulfide intrusion, and through this King Cobra discovery, this could vector us in on the feeder zone, which could be a large massive sulfide chamber at depth. So we're looking to build a nickel sulfate refinery, and we have an MOU with the EcoPro, which is Korea's largest cathode manufacturer. These battery end users are looking to help fund this downstream processing facility. So through this downstream pressure oxidation autoclave, which is a tried and tested technology that's used all through the gold industry, we can convert that concentrate to a nickel sulfate. So what we can do is increase the payabilities of that nickel to a potential premium to the nickel price through the current nickel sulfate price is gathering a premium to the nickel metal price on the LME. So we can increase payabilities, but we can also reduce or remove the current tariff that exists in Vietnam. So the previous operators paid a tariff which is on concentrate. Then this is a similar situation that's happening in Indonesia. These governments are incentivising downstream processing, and through our relationships with the Korean battery end users, we believe that we can build this downstream processing facility, reduce or remove the tariff, but also increase the payabilities of our nickel metal. One of the benefits of operating in Vietnam is we have some of the lowest operating costs we've seen anywhere in the world. So we have very strong workforce, a very hard-working and very strong technical people, but at a much lower labour cost than what we'll see in a Western environment. We have some of the lowest power costs in the world. We have hydro grid power, and we believe that we can operate at least a minimum of 25% lower operating costs when compared to an equivalent Western mine in Australia or Canada. So these are actual costs from the previous owners, and even though they were paying that tariff, you can see there's a very high tariff that they were paying because they were shipping concentrate. We believe we can remove that tariff and get these costs even lower again. This is a bit of a snapshot of some of the valuations you can see on the Australian market. In Australia, nickel sulfide is very well known and understood and very well valued. And we believe that as we deliver a maiden resource and a scoping study, we can potentially trade more in line with the valuations of our peers. There's been significant M&A transactions in this space. We have the strategic partner on board. We have a concentrator. We believe that once we deliver that maiden resource and an initial scoping study, we should trade more in line with our peers that are trading at multiple $100 million companies. So just on the news flow to come, so we have this exciting King Cobra discovery. We'll continue to drill that out. We'll chase that down at depth towards what we could call the feeder zone. If we can find that high-grade massive sulfide chamber, then that'll be highly economic. At the same time, we're very excited about drilling out that disseminated ore body. We think the disseminated ore body could give these battery end users the 10, 20, 30-year supply that they require for this EV revolution. We've bought our own IP and EM equipment, so we'll systematically test the whole belt with the modern geophysics and modern exploration techniques, and we'll test all of these 25 targets. We have metallurgical test work ongoing in the labs in Perth in Western Australia right now, so we're already starting that test work on that downstream processing facility to produce nickel sulfate. That will be put into the scoping study, or PEA as you call it here, and then maiden resource over the next 3 to 6 months. So very consistent news flow, not just on the exploration path, but also on that development phase and moving this mine back into production. Just in summary, we have an international portfolio of battery and precious metals projects across Asia, North America and Australia. We're the first mover into what is one of the best and premier nickel sulfide districts in the world and in Southeast Asia. We're drilling out that Ben Phuc disseminated ore body. We're moving to a maiden resource. We're well funded to deliver that. So we've got $3 million that we're and well funded for those next two milestones. But most importantly, we have a team that has done this many times before over the last 20 years. So we take very small companies, we find assets that are misunderstood by previous owners, and we create major discoveries and major shareholder wealth. We take these $5 million companies, we make them into multiple $100 million companies, and there's a history of this over many years. So we think this has the opportunity to do that as well. So thank you for your time.